Alex, go
Oh,
ahead.
My
yeah.
turn. So originally, like I said, I was gonna play Left 4 Dead 2, but then my gaming laptop ate it, and I had to send it to Acer to be fixed, and I'm waiting for it to get back. It should be a couple days. So sadly, I can't talk about what is probably the best zombie game I've ever played in my life. So I have to talk about something else. Um, I'm gonna start my little review here, talking about console that I used to play a lot. That console was the Wii, and the Wii wasn't good at much. Wii was good at a few things though, and one of those things was on-rail shooters. The pointer system for the Wii worked really well for on-rail shooters. So I used to play a ton of on-rail shooters, and one of my favorite compilations was the House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return, which I played a ton of. House of the Dead 2 and 3 are great arcade games. So recently, like a year or so ago, whenever I heard that House of the Dead 1 was getting a remake, I was so excited to revisit House of the Dead and get to play the first one in a way that's actually accessible, outside of like buying a light gun for my Saturn and stuff. So, very excited. And then I heard that the game was going to be developed by Forever Entertainment and Megapixel, who did the Panzer Dragoon remake. Then I was skeptical because that Panzer Dragoon remake is not great. Um, so, whenever my laptop died and I had to pick something else, I picked up the House of the Dead remake on Switch, and that is what I'm here to talk about today. House of the Dead, classic on-rail shooters, probably the classic on-rail shooter. If you're not maybe like that, like Time Crisis, you can pick which one. But they're still making House of the Dead games. In fact, I was at Dave and Buster's like last year, and I played a newer one. It was House of the Dead, Scarlet something. It was really fun. But they still make the arcade games. They're really good. And who doesn't love just shooting some zombies with with a light gun? So getting it on Switch, I was a little concerned for a couple reasons. For one, because Megapixel and Forever Entertainment, for some reason, keeps getting these Sega projects, which they make like cheap ass games and stuff. So I don't know why Sega keeps giving them these properties to do. And two, unlike the Wii and it's like sensor bar and stuff, the Switch doesn't have that same setup. So games with pointer controls don't work as well. I've played a few with pointer controls. More notably, if you're playing The World Ends with You Final Mix on the television, you have to use pointer controls, and it plays like ass. So you want to play it handheld. So, House of the Dead remake. I'm very mixed on this game. One, let's talk about the game itself. It is a remake of the original House of the Dead. It doesn't add too much. It does add like a horde mode, which is just the arcade mode, but with more enemies on screen. Kind of neat. But it's just the same 4 levels from the original arcade game, which is fine. That's what it's advertised as. That's what it wants to be. I totally accept that. The graphics, I can't decide if they look good or bad. There's some points where they look kind of good. I'm like, oh, that looks kind of nice. And there's some bads where, some points where they look cheap as hell. And that's the same issue I had with the Panzer Dragoon remake. Is that sometimes it just looks cheap as hell. Other than that, it's the same goofy ass on rail shooter game. Do you remember from the arcades? And that's all it needs to be. The real issue with this game is the control input. I played it on Switch. I know it is on PC and on Xbox and PlayStation. I'm sure on Xbox and PlayStation it probably just uses the stick. And on PC, I think PC, like there are light gun stuff for PC, so you might be able to get that to work. But on the Switch, there are a few different control methods, and I tried them all to talk about here today. The first one that I tried is the one that you would probably think of first. It's just using the Joy-Con as a light gun. Doesn't work that well. It loses track of where you're pointing a lot. You can recenter it, but in a fast paced light gun game, very annoying to do. On top of that, in the old games, even the ones on Wii, you could like either shake the controller or like shoot off screen to reload. This one you have to push like the B button, and the Joy-Con is so small, you have to push like X or whatever's on the. I think Y is on the left, so Y to recenter the thing, and then B to reload, and you're very cramped to try to play, shoot the trigger and stuff. Doesn't work that well. I didn't like it, and first time I played through with that, I died on like the 4th stage, and I was like, "This is crap." So then I go into the settings, and I'm like, "Well, I don't want to play with the stick because who wants to play a goddamn light gun game with a stick?" I'm looking around, and using the Pro controller, you can actually choose to use gyro. I was like, "Huh, I wonder how that works." So I turned on gyro. I actually left a combination of gyro and stick controls on. That way I could use gyro, but if I need like a little more precision, I can move the stick. I found that to be the best way to play this game because the gyro does respond pretty well. There's a few moments where I have to like recenter it, but it still feels okay, and and then I can still use the stick for like bosses that really have like precision. That maybe won't be the best for gyro. Still not a great way to play it overall. I would still prefer playing it with a light gun or a Wiimote or something of that nature. But out of the ways that I tried, that seems to be the one that worked the best. So moving your pro controller around, sure, whatever. Um, Other than that, it's House of the Dead. Whenever the controls worked and the game ran great, and it was playing like House of the Dead, I liked it. I had fun with it. It's just not the best port, not the best version of the game they could have done. I wish Sega would stop giving this team their classic games to remaster because it seems like they're doing it with like a shoestring budget. They feel like cell phone games almost to me. Where it seems like some of the animations and some of the visuals look a little cheap, and I think it brings I don't know. So we're not seeing these Saturn games re-released or like remade very often, and it seems like a bit of a disgrace to give it to a team that's going to make it with this shitty looking graphical style instead of actually putting some love into it. So House of the Dead remake, I was skeptical going in, and I'm still skeptical coming out.
This came out on the Switch when?
I think last year
Really,
or something.
not too long ago.
Yeah.
Last few years.
I think it was 2022 or something.
Which are there any Saturn tributes that you have enjoyed recently?
I mean, there's like the 360 Nights and stuff. Those are like good ports, and actually that one cleans up Nights pretty well and stuff. But
It's M2? Is that
no,
I don't know.
I don't know who did that one, but
M2 I would probably trust with a Saturn port.
oh, you know what? If you want to count it, because I had a Saturn version, I do play, which I haven't played recently. The Virtual Racing Sega Ages release is pretty good.
Yeah.
And, that's sort of an early 3D Sega game.
Then I've seen other ones. They're like literally called Saturn tributes on like PS4 or Xbox Series S. Can't name the individual games. They've done some weird ones, but they look promising. I think the Cotton games. There's a Cotton
Oh,
Saturn
the
tribute.
shmups. Yeah, you know what? There have been like I think what's it called? Later Section got a re-release recently. That's a good one.
It's Enon.
Yeah,
They're good too.
yeah. A lot of the shmups have been getting good re-releases, so I feel like that's pretty good Saturn representation.
Would you trust like those companies to work with House of the Dead?
I don't know. I haven't seen them do any 3D games. I've seen them do like,
Yeah, it's a weird one, right? Because well, I mean, you would trust them with Panzer Dragoon probably, but
probably that is more of a shmup than an on-rails game. Yeah.
Yeah, House of the Dead. That's weird because like I don't know. I mean, when I think of light gun games, like I think personally the best I've ever experienced at home have been on the Wii. Now, granted, there are some like I played Skyward Sword a bit on the Switch and it was working fine. But you have Nintendo working on Nintendo's hardware. You don't have like Forever Young freaking working on
I want to
a
be
game to a different console.
Forever young.
Yeah, that's too bad about the controls, though. I hear that's a common problem with most like first-person or light gun shooters on the Switch. Like you have to recenter everything. Too bad there's not a way around that. Like if you had like a sensor bar for that you put on top of the stand or something. But I guess
Yeah, it's a bummer because on the Wii, I used to play a ton. I used to love rail shooters on the Wii, and I loved House of the Dead 1, 2, and 3, and House of the Dead Overkill were great on rail shooters. And there's some other Sega ones they ported over, like Ghost Squad and like Gunblade New York and LA Machine Gun, and Capcom made like the Resident Evil ones, and Dead Space had like one. There were some cool rail shooters on Wii, and it sucks that like for some reason Nintendo's console from 17 years ago can do this better than their console from 7 years ago.
perhaps the Wii can do something right after all. No.
I'm reading about it. It looks like the original game's source code is lost.
Oh yeah.
So it's from the ground up then.
Yes.
So they'd have to do that with the Panzer Dragoon Saga. They would have to build it ground up like that. Huh?
Well, we don't know if source code for that's lost, but we know the source code for original House
Yeah.
of the Dead. That makes sense because they never
Yeah.
ported the first one over. I've played
Yeah.
2 and 3 on Wii. I've played 4 came to PlayStation Move, which actually worked pretty well. And of course they did Overkill, which is a new game. And Scarlet Dawn's the one I played at Dave & Buster's. That's the newest one. But yeah, I haven't seen like a home conversion of 1 till now that's like modern.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dreamcast one with the zapper or whatever it's called, the light gun, that was the best. Like that was perfect. Yeah, on the TRT.
And I'll get you something to be excited about, Alex. When Forever Entertainment got the license, they got the first 2 House of the Dead games.
I know they're gonna do 2, which that one hurts me a little more because I'm very familiar with 2. I used to play 2 and 3 so much as a teenager that like I got them down to a science. Like I could fucking roll through those games on like maybe 1 or 2 credits at most, and it's gonna hurt me if I have to play 2 on the Switch with these controls because they're just not accurate.
If you could say something to Forever Entertainment right now, what would it be?
I was like, do I really still not like that Panzer Dragoon remake? I went on my Series S the other night just to play a little bit of it, and I played a couple stages. And yeah, I still don't like their remake of Panzer Dragoon either. It's not good, and like I would rather just play the original version. Sega, like I like the fact that Sega's lending out these properties because they did like Streets of Rage 4, came to a different, I think it was .mu. They did great. The Alex Kidd one wasn't bad, but it was okay. The Wonder Boy stuff's been pretty good. I like that they're like giving these older properties to developers to make new entries. But this is the wrong developer because all their other stuff that they make on like the Switch and everything is just shit. It's like shovelware shit. I wish they would stop giving them their properties.
Here's some more trivia. A gun controller was developed, but they were unable to release it.
Surprised. Because I'm surprised that they like developed it because the game feels pretty cheap to me.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them button mappers.